You're listening to the Grassroots Network podcast, exclusively on the Pod Station.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Episode 5 of the Grassroots Network podcast. Today, I'm joined by professional football player and owner of Elite Player Development, Danny Holmes. We talked about the local grassroots game and what are the next steps for Danny's new club, Woodchurch Juniors. Thanks for listening, and if you could please subscribe to all our platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay guys, let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome to the Grassroots Network podcast. So today I'm joined by EPD owner and current Connors key player, Danny Holmes. It's been good to get him on the podcast because obviously we're both involved in the same industry, and it's good to share comments, ideas, and what we've got going on. So Danny Holmes, if you want to introduce yourself and give us a little...
Nice to be on, mate. Basically, I come from the Wirral, so where I grew up on the Woodchurch, it's everyone plays football, to be honest with you, and I've got two older brothers who came through at Tranmere, so I was involved in football my whole life, and I ended up signing for Tranmere at 7. But at that point, you could still play like grassroots football and stuff, so I played for I started off at Heswell for a couple of games, went to Shafts, and then I ended up on my estate with Fender, who were a bit rough and tumble at times, but it was a good grounder for me. And then when I obviously got to 10 years of age, I was full time with Tranmere then, and I worked my way through the system there, obviously getting a YT and lucky enough to get a 2-year pro as well. But it didn't quite work out with the manager at the time, Ronnie Moore. I think he was going for more experience because Tranmere we're looking to get out of League One to get into the Championship, so I had to go away, come back, prove myself, and I ended up having a decent career there, and obviously still playing now, trying to play, but not getting any younger, but that's the basis of where.
Well, you're still quality, and obviously I think we talked a little bit before about you coming to the possibility of you coming to Vauxhalls. Yeah. So I'll keep pecking away. I'm sure your Ben will still keep pecking away. But at what point did coaching become a little bit of an interest?
It was really young, to be honest with you. When I was at Tranmere, Tranmere used to go to a tournament down in Aberystwyth quite a lot. I was lucky enough to play there a few times with my team, but then as I was getting to 14, 15, obviously our Ben was coming through at Tranmere at that time, and Glenn Sam was the head of the academy, and I had a really close relationship with him, as did my dad, who's really good mates with him to this day. And I wanted to just go and help. So when I went down there, it was just for a couple of days, but I ended up taking the warm-ups and stuff like that. So I think that's where it started, really, and because I had such a good relationship with Glenn and he got the best out of me, he sort of intrigued me as I was going into my YT. So as a YT, as part of your 2 years, you've got to do your level 2 anyway. That's just part and parcel of it. So I think that's where I really got the love for it, because you had to take, it was quite tough actually, because you had to take your teammates through a session. Yeah. So sometimes obviously they're messing about, and there's quite a few Scouse lads in my team, so they were hard work to deal with. But as I came out my YT, and I think I was a first or second year pro, I got on my UEFA B, because there was a course at the time where professional footballers were all doing the course. It was mainly older players who were looking to transition into that. So once I got me UEFA B, that's when I started to do little bits with local teams and stuff like that. And as I got older and still playing, I ended up coaching at Tranmere as well, which was really good for me, going back to the club that I love, really. So there's a few players now that are the YTs now. So at the time they were under 9, so it's quite a long time. But nice. Lewis Kumas, he was at Liverpool doing really well. Nathan Giblin, he's at Liverpool. Alan Rodgers' son Jack, who's at Burnley, I think, and there's a couple who went to Everton and stuff like that. So that's when Tranmere's academy folded, and he moved on to better things, really. So that's where it sort of stemmed from.
What year did you do your B licensing?
I was 20, I think. So it was 13,
did you do 14. The old youth mods and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I was about 13, 14 years ago. It's quite a long time, really. It made me feel old there. But,
sorry, mate.
No, but I was quite young doing it. So there was the likes of Jim Bentley, who's at Rochdale now. Dave Artell, who's the crew manager. So the people on the course, obviously at the time, I didn't most probably realise what they were going to do, but it was good for me to be around that at such a young age. And I've always been quite old-headed for my age as well. So I sort of like fitted in really. And, you know, it was the same as a YT. You had to coach them. So I was coaching like older pros really. So it was a bit daunting, and I was really nervous doing it, but I was lucky enough to then pass it really. So it was really good.
Because you've recently done your A license, haven't you?
Yeah.
How do you compare the B license to the A license? Because I can imagine now, like when I did my B license, there was hardly any like pros. It's quite a general course now for grassroots. A lot of grassroots coaches do it. Yeah. So comparing when you did it with, you know, very, very good coaches who were working at a good standard. What was the A license similar now?
It's completely different, to be honest with you. I think over time, they've obviously got to change the courses, but I've done my B license with the English FA, where with the A license, I've done with the FAW, the Welsh FA, basically. So, when you go down for like blocks of study, basically. So you're there for like 4 days, and it's proper full on, where the B license is more to the time that you can put into it. So with the B, I managed to pass it pretty quickly because I put all my spare time into that. Where with the A license, because obviously getting older, you know, you've got a lot of stuff going on in your life.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to it's a year, and if you don't pass certain things within a certain time, then you fail.
You missed your chance.
Yeah, so you've got to put the time in, and it's hard to do so. But yeah, when we were down there for the last block, there was like Yaya Toure was there, Johan Cabai, Gael Clichy, Pontelemon, the keeper that was at Man City. There was loads of others doing the pro license as well, so you got to mix with them. It's like Ancelotti's son, Davide. There's quite a lot of people, so you got to mix with those type of people. And I ended up talking to Ancelotti's son. He sort of like, I remember doing a session with a group of kids based on what they do at Real Madrid. So I was like, but the kids didn't believe me, obviously. Really? And I was like, yeah, Ancelotti's son. Tried to sort of explain it to them. But he wasn't having it really. You know what kids are like. But I managed to grab a little set because he's into fitness as well as the football side of things. So I think it's really important. I think a lot of coaches now, they want to just do everything with the ball, which is great. But me, obviously coming through, we did a lot of SAQ work and, you know, stuff off the ball, which it's vitally important as well, because you hardly, in a game, you hardly touch the ball. So it was good to, obviously he just won the he was leading up to the Champions League final. I think it was the week before, and he was in Wales. So it was good to obviously talk to him. And it just shows that they do a lot of stuff without the ball as well, really, which I know you see it on Twitter and other social medias where, you know, people get frowned upon really for doing stuff.
One-to-one coaching gets bashed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It gets absolutely battered. And not only that, you know, you see group sessions and it's hard to keep everyone involved. Like even when I was coming through a tram year and lucky enough to work with get coached by some great coaches, there's a lot of times where you do have to stand and obviously observe the session. I think it's impossible to involve everyone. So when people say, you know, they're in lines and stuff like that, it's especially with kids, I think you've got to let them observe it as well as actually participating as well. So you know, everyone's got an opinion these days, haven't they? So I think there's no right or wrong, but it was eye opening to see that they do a lot of stuff without the ball as well. Really.
Well, I think I despise line drills. I can't stand them.
But it's sometimes you can't.
Sometimes they can be necessary. I think there's a time and a place for them. But I think the one-to-one coaching side of it, that gets my goat up because me and you, we've probably been coaching one-to-ones for. I've been doing it for about 5 years, and the improvements I've seen from consistent players who regularly do one-to-ones and stuff, it's night and day for me. Like there's 3 lads in my team who have, since they came to me at like under 7s, they've been doing it, and we, a bit of a boast, but we went from playing like Division 4 or 5 Eastern League, and we're playing JPL now on a Saturday, and this past weekend, we've just played Stephen Gerrard Academy with a load of the lads who've just been released from like Wigan and all over the place, and we beat them. And the couple of the lads who played, they're the difference. They're the game changers because they have that little bit of athleticism, that little bit more sort of desire, and know where to go off the ball. But yeah, so moving on from that, then what encouraged you to start your coaching company, and how's that gone so far?
Yeah, most probably exactly what you've said there, where when I was younger, the way I thought about it at first, because I think we were most probably one of the first people to do the one-to-ones, where I used to go out with my brother on the front, and like he was obviously really good, and he's teaching me how to do certain techniques or whatever like that. So as I've got older, and obviously for what I want to do, as because I was at Tranmere, obviously a decent standard, it's obviously not going to help me retire when I finish playing football. So obviously I've always loved football, and I'm intrigued about a lot of things within football, and obviously doing my coaching badges enabled me to, with the time I had away from training, think about what I actually wanted to imprint on a coaching side, where I'm from, because I'm really passionate from where I'm from as well. Because a lot of people say, from Liverpool, but it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? It's not.
And growing up where you grew up as well, I had a relative who grew up, and on the Woodchurch, it's just grass fields everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect opportunity, and a lot of kids don't take that opportunity now.
Yeah, and also what it does me head, and really you most probably have the same problem where kids play on the computers all the time. So where, say for instance, I think that's why professional clubs now have the kids in so much. I think back in the day we only trained twice, because
you were out every other night playing
exactly
footy.
Yeah. Where kids now they don't play out. So I think that's why the clubs are getting them in a little bit more. I don't agree with it, but I think that's just the way the world's going. And yeah, so obviously I wanted to start doing one-to-one coaching because, like you said, it's so beneficial. I don't know why people come down on it. I think the difference is because so many people are now trying to do it. No disrespect to anyone who's trying to do it, but the quality in what they're delivering is the main issue, really. So anyone can put a ladder out and hurdles or balls or whatever and deliver some sort of session, can't they? Anyone can do that, but it's the little detail and breaking it down, showing them, giving them a reason why, asking questions why they're trying, obviously what they're trying to do, and why I'm telling them to do something a little bit different. So I think that's the main problem for me when even with social media, I'm not like a person who likes to talk a lot or be on the screen, because I don't think it's about me. I think it's about the kids or any player that comes to me. So you won't really see me. I don't think I think I've done it once and I've never done it again, really, where social media can play a massive part in your business as well. But I think, like we said before we came on mic, like that's the issue with me at the minute. I don't know which way to go at the moment with it. But I've got loads of ideas, and it most surely find its way in the end, really.
Well, from my point of view, when we first started, so I started with a lad called Lachlan O'Connor. So before lockdown, we done a couple of joint camps, and to be fair, he'd gone out to America and he'd seen that these coaches were making quite a bit of money off one-to-one coaching over in America. It's like $100 for an hour or something.
That's ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong, there's people who charge that over here.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
He came back, and he was, for me, where I've been at this club for a while, he was the first one to be doing it. And I started doing it because I'd been involved in Grassroots, and everyone then and his dog was out on levers, and even through lockdown and stuff like that. And I think
lockdown was the big one, wasn't it? Where everyone tried to do it.
I think a lot of people picked up on it, and now because it's been whittled out, I see people have got away from it now, and they've not really enjoyed it. Whereas I think we've been a little bit more consistent. Yeah. But when we first started, we looked up to you guys and how you marketed your stuff, how your social media looked, the appearance of how you presented your coaching and stuff like that. It was a big influence on us. So yeah, I think I think now into the next step with Woodchurch Juniors, that's my big question, because I absolutely love that idea of a local team on the Woodchurch now, because it's such a big area. I think you had Rakers, which were kind of based there, but to actually have a Woodchurch Juniors for such a big estate, it's a great step forward.
It is, and I think the last team to be on the estate was Fender. Who I played for, and which was a long time ago now. So obviously going back to EPD, I tried to do the teams where, you know, they got the exposure to academy teams really. And sometimes it was pretty tough because the kids are grassroots players, and I've always said to them, grassroots is your priority. This is just extra. So if you want to do it, it's even to the parents, it's entirely up to you. So sometimes when we were arranging games, it was a problem to get them there because the grassroots was the priority. So I sort of went away from that, and because I've always wanted to do something from where I'm from. So it was this year. I was just with my mate who I hadn't seen in a long time. He had a bit of time on his hands. I was like, been wanting to do this, and with the Woodchurch Sunday team as well. Yeah, they've just sort of started back up again, and there's like a big on the estate, it's like a big community like feel, and everyone looks after each other and helps each other out. So we said, why don't we just do it? So we just started it basically, and it's been amazing really, because with EPD, it's obviously like, I don't like to look at it as a business, but it is. So like we're talking about like the quality of coaching the kids are getting. Like you're saying, some people are charging £100 for a one-to-one for an hour, which in my head is absolutely baffling. I can't, especially where you're from as well. So like I think with my qualification now and me playing experience, I can sort of go up a little bit to justify it. So I'm quite comfortable with what I charge now, which is it's less than a PT. Do you know what I mean? So in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot. Maybe with the energy bills and all that, most probably could be
facility costs and stuff.
Exactly, but I think that's what people don't understand as well. You're paying for the facilities and stuff like that, so your margin to gain it's not as much as what people think.
No, it's not.
It's not. Yeah. So you're sort of doing it for the love of doing it, where some people are charging ridiculous amounts, and it just
there's no justification behind it either, is there?
It's what annoys me, but is parents are actually paying for it, which I don't understand. I'm not like putting anyone down or anything like that, but I just never get my head around it. Yeah. But so with Woodchurch Juniors, it's more obviously I don't get nothing from it other than the love of doing it really. Yeah. So with obviously still playing and doing EPD, I can only do little bits, but which I've tried to do with EPD as well is help people on their coaching path as well. So the people that are doing it are like new to it, but I've tried to help them with sessions and stuff like that. So it's helped me as well. So I'm where I want to go. I want to try and help people. Yeah. Basically, that's all I've ever wanted to do, whether that's coaching kids or with the coaches, help them develop to get to where they want to be, because everyone wants to coach professionally, which is, you know, it's a slim it's like planes, it's a very slim chance of doing that. So I'm just trying to help them along their path really, but with Woodchurch Juniors I can sort of do the two. Yeah. So but also bringing where players from the estate were going elsewhere, they're staying on the estate. Yeah. And obviously growing the club.
Well, like it builds a community, doesn't it, as well around the estate. Yeah. Have you got an official role? Are you chairman or anything like that of a club?
But at the moment I'm the treasurer, so I look after basically the finances, and my mate who has spoke, he's the chairman, so I'm sort of like vice chairman as well. But because I didn't want to, obviously, again, being where we're from, we didn't want to charge too much for, everyone's got to pay subs because we've got to pay for, again, pitches and stuff like that. Yeah, so we've kept it the lowest we possibly could, because a lot of people on the estate can't afford even to travel somewhere. Most can't even drive. So it's been a good learning curve really, where we're trying to help them. Obviously the kids grow the love for football, but we did like a photo shoot day, and the feedback that we had from that and the amount of people that actually turned up as well was breathtaking really. Sort of like put a lump in my throat a little bit. So yeah, it was. It's good to see. We're only like 3 months old, 4 months old. So it's good to see where we could potentially go in the future.
There's I had the Bromber and Eastham chairman on a couple of weeks ago, and we've got a really good partnership with Bromber and Eastham.
Yeah.
And if there's ever a club, a grassroots club to model yourself off, it's definitely them.
Yeah.
In terms of how they create the atmosphere within their club, how they make the kids feel special.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's different clubs. The way people do things. Like obviously, I coach at Vauxhall's, and we're a pathway. We aim to get our kids in our youth and junior section into the first team. That's the ultimate goal. Whereas Bromber and Eastham, it's very much a turn up and play and have fun and enjoy your football while you can. And I think the difference in maybe the squad's what you were trying to do in the first place, and now the Woodchurch
it's completely different.
It's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's completely different.
It's going into the realms of we want kids to enjoy ourselves, and you want to build that community.
It's with the Woodchurch junior teams, most probably what Bromber and Eastham are doing. That's all we want to do. We want them to have fun and enjoy it. Where I think, for me, if kids have fun, it's because their parents are on board with it. I think that's everyone's biggest challenge. Where, say with EPD, it was don't get me wrong, the parents were a challenge. I think they're always going to be because they want the best for their kid, which is fine. Of course
they do,
But when it comes to Woodchurch, because it is basically about fun, there's literally, I won't accept nothing. So like, obviously you're gonna have issues all the time. But I said, no, that's it. That's our one philosophy for them to have fun. So if you're preventing them from having fun, and even our coaches, we touch base on it loads of times, where everyone wants to win. I always want to win, even with the grassroots team. But I don't show the kids that I want to win. I try and encourage them to love it, and the byproduct of that is winning. So that's the way we've tried to do it. But I think we've got a great set of parents, to be fair. So touch wood, hopefully it stays like that. And as we grow the club, then everyone's got to buy into that, really.
So what do you see in the future? What's the kind of maybe short-term and long-term goals that you've got for it?
The short term is basically for the kids that we have got now. We've got 4 teams. Is them just to enjoy it this season, really, and just have a good crack and come along. They've all the teams are brand new, so none of them have met each other before. Some are playing the first ever. This is their first ever team. So to see how well they get on, that's another big thing for us. Like, they're doing stuff away from the teams with each other without us even encouraging it. So they're all making friends. But in the long term, we want to, we want a team for every age. And then there could be, we spoke about starting a Saturday team, because I think there's going to be a 3G getting done down on the old running track. So there's potential for that, but that's a long way off. I think our focus is on, building it each year, really, and trying to add for next season is a team each age with girls as well, and just take a year by year, not look too far ahead, really.
Would you want your Saturday team in West Cheshire football? Eventually,
I think obviously, even if you look at just the Woodchurch Sunday team, for instance, the amount of people that go and watch them, a lot of people off the state don't drive. So if there was something there for them to go and watch, I think they'll get a pretty big crowd as well, because they're really passionate from where they're from. And sometimes it gets the wrong stigma for me. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I'm from there. I know everyone. Everyone's really nice with me, but people coming on sometimes may surely think, it's a bit rough, blah, blah, blah. But I think if we got something going like that, they're actually really welcoming. So like, say, touching on the Sunday team again, like if they have a Cheshire Cup game, like they always put something on for the team to come back, and they have a really good crack as well, to be fair. So I think even with the Woodchurch junior team, we're looking to do that after each game now, where the Woodchurch pub is basically just round the corner from the pitches, where we're going to hopefully like put food on for both teams and stuff like that, try and grow like that. So it becomes a little bit more welcoming, and people don't have that impression then that, all these are rough and don't really want to go there. But that's obviously what hopefully we can do with a Saturday team as well, eventually further down the line.
I think I think it was, I don't know whether this is true, but I think I read somewhere that Glenavon were thinking of taking over the leisure centre and turning it into a social club as well.
Yeah.
If that maybe is in plans or whatever, because I know Glenavon they've got the field, haven't they, on the flyover and stuff coming into the Woody. But I think I'd love to see, because I'm from Birkenhead. I grew up, I played for Vicky Colts and quite a few local teams and stuff like that. And to have that community in such a fun estate, because I spent a lot of time there as a kid as well, where people can come down. I've been in the Woody pub as well. It's rowdy in there sometimes.
Yeah, it is very rowdy.
But that's what you want, isn't it? You want people engaged. You want it to be a community environment. So, but taking the club into the grassroots game, is there anything in grassroots that you'd want to see improve? Because you've seen both sides of it now. You've seen professional game and grassroots game. Yeah,
one of the reasons for me obviously starting the grassroots club as well is that everyone starts from grassroots. Do you know what I mean? They don't just go into professional football. So for me, the biggest issue I've come across is the pitches. Like, it's especially the grass pitches. We're quite fortunate that we've got a great relationship with Fender Priory, who have been fantastic, to be honest, and they've actually just let us do whatever we want. Not in the way where, just with the pitches and look after them and stuff like that. So if, like, we played on, I think it's called the Delph in Wallasey, against Cheshire Vikings, and the pitch was a disgrace. Nothing to do with them. It's just it hasn't been maintained properly. Yeah. So obviously with the rain, I then messaged John, who's my mate, saying, what are our pitches like? With the rain, thought it was going to be heavy, and he's like, yeah, they're lovely.
Spot on.
Just because we maintain it. So the biggest issue for me is the grass pitches, because as kids get older, I do think the 3Gs are beneficial with you trying to implement stuff within their game and stuff like that. But in the grand scheme of things, if they're lucky enough to make it, they're going to be playing on grass. So I think that's one of the biggest issues with the grassroots game, where the grass pitches aren't up to scratch, really.
Yeah.
And even going to like Arab Park and other places, there's loads of safety hazards as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When I've walked on, like, big massive hole here, big massive hole there. Do you know what I mean? So it does need to be addressed, but it all boils down to money in the end, doesn't it? So if the money's not going in, then they're not going to improve.
I completely agree, because I much prefer to play on grass than Astrum. I much prefer it. Yeah. And in terms of the development for kids, because the ball bounces in a different way. There's depending on the weather, there's different speeds that you've got to react to and problem solve.
Yep.
On an Astro, it's going to move quick. There are probably benefits to the ball moving quickly, so you've got to pass and move a little bit quicker. But I don't know. There's something about playing on grass, isn't there? You can't beat it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm old school, like, so I'm just like, when I see a nicely cut pitch, I'm like, it's unbelievable that.
Yeah, it's spot on.
Yeah, it gets me excited to actually play footy. So, it's a massive issue, and it does need to be addressed. But like I said, it comes down to money and whether they want to pump that money in to improve it. But I think if they got all the clubs involved within something to maintain stuff and stuff like that, I think it could be done, especially on the Wirral, because to be honest, all the clubs I've come across and the coaches that we've played against, they've all been amazing. They've all been really great. And I sort of had an opinion, obviously when I was younger it was a little bit different, but I had an opinion like everyone was a bit rowdy and they're not in it for the kids, or stuff like that, and it's the complete opposite from what I thought. So they proved me wrong, a lot of the team so far. So a lot of them are voluntary. So for them to obviously waste, if you want to say waste the time, it is really wasting their time, because they could be doing stuff with their families or anything like that. So I think if, I don't know, the FA or the Cheshire FA, whoever, involved all the clubs to be involved in it together, I think, it could be improved a lot, the pitches.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've got the arguments, haven't you, about the Premier League and all the revenues and how much it actually contributes to the FA and what goes on at the FA. But even the job being left to the local councils to, like, you look at Plym Yards, Levers, and most of the time it can be okay, but you have a period from, say, the end of November through to February where most of the time kids aren't playing footy.
Exactly, yeah.
And you could maybe then have that improved where, you know, you could go through the summer months.
Yeah.
So it's a grass sport. In that, to maintain the pitches proper, you could probably play through the summer.
Yeah.
There's loads of different options, I think, but I think there's 3G is probably going to be the way forward because it becomes a business as well. I mean, even this place, Vauxhall's are looking to put a third all-weather pitch in, and the amount of revenue it generates, not just for like a social club, but for a school, like Woodchurch High School have got one. Bebington High School have got one. Pensby have got one. They become revenue makers, don't they? And that'll probably be the way forward.
Yeah, definitely.
I listened to something really interesting that a lot of kids in London have come away and they're starting to play cage football again, and academies are starting, instead of going to grassroots games on Saturdays and Sundays, they're going into cages in the midweeks and watching players play, because it's a different kind of player, like the Jadon Sanchos and these skillful, tricky players, because they're playing on different surfaces. I'd do that because we had cages in Birkenhead, and a lot of kids don't do it.
I think it's probably touching on what I said near the beginning, where that's like street football, isn't it? And I think it was on Netflix with Rio Ferdinand, that South of the River or whatever it was called, and you know, a lot of kids are just going out and playing, where around here now kids don't go out and play. So that's why I think you're seeing a big influx from say the southern London areas and stuff like that, where they're making it into the professional game. That it's no coincidence, because they're playing more football. I was talking to my brother the other month, and I was just saying, like, football's become like a middle class sport, really, which is quite sad, because obviously we're all working class, and you know, we've worked really hard to get whatever we've got in life. But I think it's refreshing to see especially on that documentary. I was you know, it was refreshing to see that kids are actually still going out, enjoying it, sort of getting a reputation from playing that sort of stuff as well, which back in the day, again, that's what you had to do. You had to used to play with older kids and hold your own. You used to get booted everywhere, but they respected you for it. Where kids now, you know, it's just the way the world is now. They get looked after really well by all the parents. Even touching on where I'm from, a lot of parents can't afford a lot, but they can still manage to get like a PlayStation 5 or where I didn't have none of that. Do you know what I mean? So they do manage to find a way to obviously look after the kids, which is great. I'm not knocking it, but just because I'm so passionate about football has a knock-on effect to that then, really. So like I said, I hope it doesn't end up being a middle-class sport, which it potentially could, I think, personally, but we'll have to wait and see, really.
I always think back to my childhood. So if you've gone if anyone's been through Birkenhead, you've got Butter Road. If you've seen the big library, there's a little patch of grass on the right-hand side, and then there's like a big sort of concrete footpath. We used to play footy on there, and when they'd lock the doors at like 7 o'clock, we used to take free kicks against the door, because it was a big wide door that looked like a goal. And we used to play like 1v1s and 2v2s, and like the paving slabs were all uneven, so you got an uneven bounce to the ball and stuff like that. And I think that's a crying shame now that kids can't go out and do that. Maybe it's just a different generation where, you know, your mum would give you the key and be like, get home before the street lights come on. I think and stuff like that.
I'm literally going on about where I'm from a lot, but there's a cage down by the swim baths, just to the left of it. It's full all the time. On where we've got our pitches now in the summer, like the amount of kids that were on there, even though they damaged a couple of goals, we weren't too bothered, because it was just good to see them playing. So it sort of kept them away from trouble, because there's a lot of trouble going on there at the moment, where when we were down there at one point, there was loads of kids playing football, and then the swim baths are closed at the minute, and then there was kids on top of the building. So it was like chalk and cheese. You like look at them, they're, you know, looking to have fun, then there's that type of person where they just want to damage everything, which I don't understand. But again, being where I'm from, you're from here. Why would you want to?
Why would you want to ruin it?
So it's
you've got a footy pitch there, a bit of grass. Why don't you just have a kick about?
But like where since we've started the games, because we've got a few teams there, a lot of people are just coming on and watching. which is great. Our chairman, John, obviously he's got to be aware of who it is, because obviously safeguarding the children, stuff like that. But it's people that we know of, and they come on and they buy a cup of tea or whatever, give money to the club. Or there was a lot of people done a lot of spot the balls without us even asking. So we're looking to obviously help the kids who maybe don't get much, and maybe getting in with the wrong crowd, to sort of take them away from that as well, and get them involved within a team and being a part of a community, like we've already said.
It'd be really good if there was something locally on the Woody, because we did sessions at the Hive, and we went in on a Sunday, and we did a couple of weeks throughout the on a Wednesday, and it was absolutely rammed. And you couldn't
love it,
move.
They do love it.
They've got like a big sports hall downstairs, and then they've got, like, which I thought was really cool, they've got like a 5-a-side pitch on the roof, which is literally all it is, Astro with a cage around it, and that was like proper cage football. There was some decent little footballers in there, like, and you think to yourself, if there was more spots like these across the Wirral, I think the Woodchurch again would thrive,
because there used to be a youth club where the swim baths is, and that was rammed every night. The Carbridge Centre, which is still there, and they give a lot to the community, to be fair, but their hands are tied behind their backs with resources and stuff like that. But if you offer them something and something there for them to do, they do, especially a place like Birkenhead, Woodchurch, the Ford, all those type of places, you guaranteed you'll get the numbers. Guaranteed. 100%. So again, it's not just about say the upkeep of pitches for me. It's actually giving kids from underprivileged places an opportunity to actually do it. So that was another reason why we did it. So it gives them actually something to do as well. Keeps them off the streets and stuff like that.
I think as it comes into that older age group, like my age group now, under 15s, I've noticed a lot of teams in our age group, they're dipping and dropping, and there's not many kids playing football at that age group now. Whether it be for a number of different reasons, they go to school, they find a little bit of they find a bit of puberty, they end up meeting girls or their interests and stuff like that. And it's a shame. It's a shame, because I was having a conversation with a parent the other day, and he was like, there comes a point where a child doesn't need to kind of rely on you to get to games and stuff. They can get the bus, they can bike down, they can do other bits and pieces, and when it's left to them, they kind of just go, I can't be asked today, or whatever like that.
Like I said, back in the day, even if your parent could, because my dad worked a lot, so did my mum, so I had to get the bus down to Tranmere sometimes by myself, and then walk past the ground up to Ingleborough, where we used to be the youth pitches, really. So because like touching on like the computers and all that sort of stuff, kids get a lot done for them now, where back in the day you sort of had to fend for yourself at times, even like getting up, make your own breakfast. Don't get me wrong, mum and dad did loads for me, took me everywhere as much as they could. Even I think they spoiled me at times with like getting me the latest boots, but obviously it would have been half of them to obviously do that for me. But I think because they seen that I was passionate about it, and looked like I was actually a decent player and could potentially get somewhere, they were willing to obviously do that. Where I think if kids were more like that now, they'll most probably still get the stuff that they want, but there's a reason behind doing that. And it's just a different mentality now. Like I've talked to a lot of the kids that are coaching, they give you a little bit of cheek in a good way, like a bit of banter and stuff like that. And I was like, when I was your age, I would have annihilated you. Do you know what I mean? Like on the pitch. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. And I was like, honestly, mate, if you played my team at your age, say like the school team, for instance, our school team's really good at Woodchurch. And it's like, because a couple of the kids are from the Woodchurch High School, I'm like, honestly, mate, go and ask the PE teachers there, we would have annihilated you. Not because we were better. I think kids are technically better than when we were coming through. They're a lot better technically. But I think the other side to it, which I think when you get into 15, 16, you can go one way or the other.
It's that what you wanted, isn't
exactly.
it?
And I think we wanted it a lot more than the kids of today, really. So we're trying, obviously, trying to touch on that as well without, going too deep into it with the kids. But sometimes when they're giving you a bit of stick, it's good to actually get that point out to them, really. So it's you learn all the time. So when obviously we coach, I try and touch on the mental side of it because I think it's massively important to me. Yeah. So again, social media is like, even like scanning, it's like a bit of a niche word at the minute where, look, he scanned 5 times. It is part of the game. I think you naturally do something like that, mate. Yeah. You either got that or you haven't. But a lot of the time when I was younger, I used my body a lot. So I used to obviously feel for people, so I didn't have to scan. Yeah. Because I was touching people, or I use my arms quite a lot, still do it now. Sometimes I get booked for it, but I don't mean it. It's just because I naturally do it. Yeah, natural. But kids don't use their arms now. Yeah. So we've tried to do like, you've initially done as well, where you've, there was one group session that we've done with that, we've done like a shielding session. So basically we using your arms was our main point. So the kids took a lot from it, and you know what, in the end, you're actually, for me, when you train, so whether it's a one-to-one group session, whatever, you want to then implement it in a game. Yeah. That's the whole purpose of training for me. So when you actually see kids actually doing it in a game situation, then it's like, not job done because they've got a long way to go, but they've listened, they've understood. Exactly. So it's good for me, and most probably yourself, when that happens. And like, even though I've got my A license now, a lot of people think who have got it, that the be all and end all, especially within football, like professional academies. It's like they sort of look out for themselves a little bit, which is understandable. Totally get it. Football's a ruthless business, but when I've like lucky enough to go and watch sessions or whatever like that, I've sort of thought I just wouldn't act like that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I'm just, even like, because I'm not famous by any means, but because I've played for Tranmere, I'm sort of known locally. And when someone asks for a photo with me, I'm like, what? It's mad. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. But they support Tranmere, I'll get a photo with them. So I've always had like a good connection with, say, people from around here. So when I see people within a professional environment with kids making it about them, it doesn't really, it's not really, I get for me, it's not nice to see, but I can half understand why they do, because if they don't do something a certain way or whatever, then they won't be in the job. So I think football, the way it's going now, it's completely different. Still obviously amazing, but I'm, like I said, I'm really old school, me, so I sort of need to change with the times as well. At times
I find it really funny where, like, I meet A license and B license coaches who admittedly they think they're a lot better than what they are, and I've met level 1 and level 2 coaches who are unbelievable at what they do. And it's funny, I'd love to pick like an A license coach up and drop him in the middle of like a group session somewhere with like, say, 6-year-olds and stuff like that, and go, let's see how you get on here. Because I mentioned it on one of the earlier podcasts. When we started our relationship with Bromber and Eastham, we coach on a Saturday morning, we coach on like preschool, under 6s, under 7s, like back to back to back. And the first session I did, I'd written out a session plan for like under 5s about how to do it. And it fell on its face very, very quickly. And I looked at my business partner at the time, and he was just laughing and laughing, because he had experience out in America with kids who didn't really want to play footy and how to keep them engaged and stuff. And it took me a while to get to that point. And you've just got to kind of aiming. Bull Halfire said it the best. He said you've just got to let go sometimes and get rid of
off your ego.
Everyone's got to get rid of that bravado and just enjoy yourself while you're coaching.
Because with the A license, it's predominantly like 11-a-side football. So once I obviously done the A license, I was most probably still in that frame of mind, because I was doing that course for full on really for a year. And I couldn't really do much at EPD, obviously, because I was still playing and doing that. That was my priority at that time. So when obviously talking about your session plan, I was obviously, it was great because I got loads of ideas. But then I sort of forgot how old the kids were.
Yeah.
So it took me like a couple of weeks, few weeks to sort of go, what am I doing here?
Readjust.
Yeah. So like it was literally the same view. I was doing a session. I thought the session, I looked at it, I was like, the kids are going to love that today.
Yeah.
So I sort of got there. The first couple of stuff that I'd done was really good and the kids loved it. And then I tried to progress it, maybe probably a little bit too much for them. So you get to a point where it's like the kids, it's just breaking down all the time basically. Yeah. And it was a bit of a shooting practice, which I thought was simple. But then I was like, I've got to do something here. Yeah. So I came up with something a little bit more where they could engage a little bit more and obviously understand it. But we do, we start our group sessions up on a Sunday, and it happened on Sunday. For me, it was really basic. It was, because I've done it with the same age at a different time, but they just didn't get it. So I was like, I've got to improvise here.
Yeah.
So when I do with the younger ones now, I'd literally I have an idea what I'm going to do. I don't even write anything down, because I think if I do that, I'll look at that too much.
Yeah.
Or think about that too much, or a point or whatever. So with the younger age groups for now, I have an idea in my head. And then when I get there, it would just sort of like happen. Yeah. Like I'll set it up in a certain way or whatever. And then if they can't adjust it, I'll adjust it straight away. So with the younger age groups, it's I think it's how they look up to you most of the time. So I've always been like a big kid at heart anyway. So when I was at Tram, I didn't have a problem because everyone knew me. But I used to like get the kids in a headlock and that, where, you know, to this day and age, people like you can't do that. Yeah. I'm like, why? Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm just nudging them or whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's just who I am. Yeah. I'm not going to change. So if you don't like it, then you have to ask me to leave, basically. But I've always been like that. I still do it now. And most of the parents love the fact that I can actually have that relationship with them.
Because it's the social side of it as well. Like, you don't want a coach who's hands off and like he turns up and thinks he's better than what he should be doing. Yeah. It annoys me. And I've dealt with a couple of coaches like that who've come across like our path, and it's just been like, I don't think this is going to be the right thing for you here, mate. Yeah. One of the best things, our daughters started coming to our Bromber and Eastham sessions, and for this whole month we've been doing Julia Donaldson books. So last week we did the Gruffalo, and the week before that we did what was it? It wasn't Superworm, it was the other book. Yeah. But basically we told all the kids on a Friday to go and watch on BBC iPlayer all the Julia Donaldson books, and then we'll tell you which one we're going to do. Yeah. And literally it's just us acting like idiots for 45 minutes.
That's what it is, isn't it?
Trying to put a bit of football into it. Yeah.
But that's how they engage though, isn't it, kids? Yeah. It's like, even, I don't like to touch it on it, but like Fortnite and stuff, because the kids are that into it.
You've got to get it involved in the session some way, haven't you?
Say for shooting, for instance, it'll be like, you know, imagine you're on Fortnite then you want to boot, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's little things like that, and they're like, oh yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It connects it a little bit more for
it's
them, doesn't it?
It grates on me, like, because I'm like, I just want to, you know, get the ball out your feet, you know what I mean? Put it in the, because I'm old school in football, I love football. Yeah. But they just work different now, the kids, innit? Yeah. But it's like again, it's a learning curve for me. And when I see that it's sort of, it engages them, then I'm like, that works, that. But like you said, touching on where you get thrown in with like 6-year-olds and stuff like that, because eventually I want to be a manager or work in a first team environment as a coach or whatever. If you can do with 6-year-olds, I think you can do with anyone. Yeah. You literally can. Yeah. So like, it wasn't the Sunday just gone, the previous Sunday, where sort of the session that I thought of, it was amazing. The kid, even to be fair, the Sunday just gone, the kids were so well behaved. And then you move up a few years and you're like, I was doing that with 5-year-olds, you know what I mean? It's like, I know it's different all the time, but if you can do it with those younger ages, then you can do with anyone.
Yeah, it's a lot of, isn't it, session management and how you keep people engaged and how you keep the session fun. Yeah. And I mean, there was a couple of occasions I used to manage the reserves here with John in West Cheshire 1, and there were some times where I think at the time my team were like under 11s. I'd translate the under 11s session into the older age group, and arguably the lads would have fun with it. Yeah. And they're like, oh, that was that was interesting. It was fun. It was something like, silly things like playing tic-tac-toe and relay races and stuff. And like spinnies to shoot and penalties. It's so easy that if you can cope with that younger age group, everything seems to just be that little bit better as a coach. I'd encourage anyone who's looking at coaching to start off early rather than later. Because I think if you start off later, like the 11-a-side format, you get accustomed to working and coaching in a certain kind of way, don't you? Pattern to play phases, and you're like, if the ball goes here, where'd you go and do this? And it becomes difficult. I think something you said before that was really interesting was coaches have lost the ability to observe sessions now, step back and not really say very much, but just watch players and watch what they do.
I think on that subject, like I think it's just the world that we live in. Like you've always got to look busy and that sort of stuff. Where once you, especially in the game situation, you've done a lot in training with the kids, whether that be fun, whatever you're doing, then for them to have a game, then you just leave them to it. In my opinion, at a young age, obviously as they get old, it's a little bit different because, like playing, you've got to. We're trying to win the league, win cups, so it has got to be a little bit serious. But like you're saying, when you're doing your session with an older age group, even now, when you play football, you are like a big kid. So you are gonna love those sessions, and it's gonna make you want to go. Like, so I've been to sessions all through my career where I was like, I hated that.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like it got, especially at Tranmere at one point, I was like a bit disillusionized with football. To be honest, I was going in trying my hardest. We had a lot of loan plays at the time. In one season, we had like 70 plays within the whole season, which is ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
I'm going in, I'm from the area, support Tranmere. I'm seeing this happen to my club. So I lost loads of love for football. It obviously still had it lingering somewhere, but I needed to take myself away from that to then get it back. But like I was, again, talking to me mate about the Woodchurch Juniors, and it's probably the happiest I've ever been. Yeah. Which is, it's quite strange to say.
Yeah.
Because I've had a decent career.
Yeah.
But seeing the kids like laughing and
buzzing,
even when they score a goal, I'm like, I haven't had that feeling since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it's been really good for me as well as a person. It's like it gives me like a bit more of a purpose as well, and it's helped with EPD as well, to be honest with you. So not only has it helped me as a person, it's helped me business and what I want to look to do in the future as well. So it's been really enlightening for me.
I don't know about you, but one thing I find really fun is, say, for example, like obviously we've coached hundreds and hundreds of kids. Like I'll go to a random venue somewhere and like maybe watch a bit of grassroots footy, or like I'll travel to a tournament with my kids, or I'll see people playing and you just hear random kids shouting your name going, you're like, oh, how have you got on today, mate? What have you been up to? And he goes, I've or he or she are like, I've scored a goal, I've done this. That for me is probably one of the nicest feelings, where you have such a positive impact on that kid that they're excited to tell you what they've done.
Yeah, it's class.
It's that's one thing I really enjoy, and obviously being around, and you'll probably get it a lot more now at your games. You'll find as those older age groups come through, like you focus a bit more on watching rather than you're emotionally invested, but you're just enjoying watching them play and having fun. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was the same me the other day. I was in the Asda, like doing a food shop. I had bumped into three players that were in separate like aisles, and I was like, it is amazing, like the impact you can have. Sometimes you don't realise it when you're coaching. Like, I don't know, sometimes I'm a little bit demanding, I think in a good way.
Yeah.
But when they obviously see it in an environment where it's nothing to do with football, they sort of like open up a little bit about it. So it makes you realise that you're actually having an impact. Even if they talk about the game and you say, "Oh, we did that in your," you know what I mean? You sort of took it from that. So I think when you see them away from football, that's when you sort of realise how much you've actually
what
done.
An impact you've actually had. Yeah. And to all those people who absolutely bash one-to-one coaches, you can get lost.
Yeah,
because we have such a massive impact.
Yeah.
I think the stigma around it, going back to the very beginning, because it bothers me.
Yeah.
And it probably bothers you as well.
Oh, massively, yeah.
Like, give it a rest. I know secret grassroots coaches, they take the mick on Twitter and stuff like that. And to be fair, it is quite funny because you can relate to
a
lot of it. Yeah. But most of the time, you obviously you're trying to coach and you're trying to get the best for these children, offer the best services you can. So,
I think you know what, most of the time the people that actually most probably come for you a little bit are the people that can't do it. Do you know what I mean? They actually couldn't deliver, or I don't think they would have the confidence to actually do it.
Yeah.
So, because especially in football now, I think there'll always be someone who would want to go and get a one-to-one session. Especially now, everyone's sort of after them. But like we said, it's how you do it, and obviously having the experience to do it, and what you're actually trying to do within the session to help them. Because I think most of the issues for me with one-to-ones is the actual confidence to deliver something, the worried. But that's obviously for me stems from the parents or the coach of their team. So there's been a number of occasions where say I'm doing a one-to-one and the kid's looking over to the parents all the time. Because I've had the experience of sort of doing it now, I know it's them. That's the problem. Yeah. So I've actually called them over now because I feel like, because I've been doing it for a long time. At first, when I started, I used to worry about the parents a lot. I'm not afraid to admit that because I obviously want to deliver a good session. But now I actually don't care what the parent thinks because I know what I'm doing is good for the kid. Yeah. And not only that, good for the parents as well. So like, I'd call them over and I sort of put the kid on the spot a little bit, not in a bad way, but I'll go, what are you, because the parents come to me for a confidence issue most of the time. So I was like, what's your problem? So he would like go, oh, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. So I said, is it your dad or your mum? And then he'll say no at first. And I'll go, look at me, is it your dad or your mum? Don't be afraid to say it. And they'll go, yeah. So for them then, they sort of realise, you see the realisation on the face. So they go, so I let the kid go off and I was like, listen, like, they are a good player. Just give him a bit of space, let him do whatever he wants. And then most of the time they do. And then you get a message back saying, thanks, Dad, I needed that. And then you can actually see the player actually grow over time then. So for me, within football, especially grassroots kids football, the parents are the main reason for a lot of things. And you know, if the parents can get educated on that, I know most of the time it's because they want the best for the kid. Yeah, it's from the right place. It does
come from a good place.
Exactly, but to the kid, it doesn't look that way. Because they're going, come on, shout, whatever. Yeah. So it's obviously
unnecessary pressure, really, isn't it? And you want, in order to perform your best, and obviously being a professional, I'm sure having that freedom to perform.
The main thing,
it's the biggest problem. I mean, coach education is a great thing. Yeah. But I think there needs to be a little bit more about, if you're taking over a grassroots team, we did it at Bromber and Easton when we were pushing the next group of under-7s through. We did parent education. So we had a separate meeting with the managers where me and James Williams, Secretary of Bromber and Easton, we said, these are some of the issues that might arise. This is what you're probably going to have to deal with. Yeah. Now, when we had them at under-6s and they were on our sessions, January to March, before they got put into the groups, we finished every half an hour of the session with a mini tournament. We put them into 5-a-sides and we'd rotate them around and play each other. And for me, that was a very important time for parents, because I always remember we had one parent and he was talking to his kid and he was going, do that. Yeah. And I turned around and I called everyone in and I went, right. I said, are you stepping up to be a coach? Yeah. He went, no. And I went, well, I think you need to be quiet then. Because by you shouting at this little boy and telling him what to do, firstly, it undermines the coach. And secondly, you're just heaping unnecessary pressure. And a lot of parents kind of took a step back then, and we kind of set the tone. And then Bromber and Eastham did a very good job of communicating very early the expectations of what is required from a parent on the sideline. You stand behind the respect barrier and you encourage early. Encouragement only. Yeah. We had it last year or the year before, can't remember, was the first year in the JPL for us, and we'd come from like the Eastern League Division 1, and you'd play Asheville and Bromber and Eastham and Greenleys and all these teams, and it'd kick off because all the lads knew each other and this, that and the other, and parents, because it was Division 1, it was perceived to be like the top league. It'd kick off every other week and it was a pain in the bum. When we came into the JPL, it was like a breath of fresh air. None of the kids knew each other because we were travelling like up to Alsager, Kids Grove, Fylde and stuff like that. None of the kids knew each other. They were there to play football. A lot of these kids had been kind of in and out of academy football, so they knew how to play. A lot of the parents had been involved in academy football, and it was zipped. There was silence on the sideline, and kids were allowed to play and express themselves. Fast forward, that we've come into this year. I think as we get older, it becomes a little bit more heated.
It does.
It started kicking up again. Especially we played Pennington and that got a little bit hairy, but I think it's just the nature of the game, isn't it? You're never going to control everything, are you?
Especially with touching on the parents again, like you said, when you go to an academy, professional academy, you literally won't have any problems with them. Anything the coaches say or the people that run the academy say to them, they'll just do it. What I don't see what the difference is with a grassroots club to an academy on that topic. So if I think what happens when kids go to academies, obviously it's brilliant that they're getting that exposure, getting good coaching, facilities, stuff like that. But what happens is, which I've experienced a lot, the parents then think they sort of know better in a way. Again, not putting anyone down, but that's just the way it goes. Like, they did this, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't make no difference to me. A grassroots club and an academy, they're trying to, help them, trying to develop them. Because a lot of I've seen a lot of grassroots coaches now who actually try and do something within the session. They've been working all day. So they've took the time out to actually try and do something with your kid. I think you should respect that, even if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, again, a lot of the problems within kids' grassroots football leading up to, say, a YT, it does stem from the parents most of the time, which is sad. But again, it does come from the right place, but it's just the way they communicate that for me. So, there shouldn't be any difference whatsoever. Again, you should encourage. That's it.
Yeah.
And leave it to the coaches, because they've made that choice to join that club. Then you've just got to have faith in that club. Then if you want to do well in football, then you've got to pick the right club. Obviously, if you want a half decent coach, but if you want it for the fun of it, then you just leave your kids to enjoy it. Really.
Yeah. When you were at Tranmere, did you have anyone who was kind of like, so who you'd gone through with your YT and stuff, who'd been released, who you still talk to and stuff like that? What kind of did they go through? Because kids in and out of academies, we've seen it where we've had a couple of lads come to us and academies have kind of ruined them and they've not confidence and stuff. Is there anything that you've had experience with?
Yeah, a lot of the at Trammy's academy at the time when I came through was really, really good. We used to play like we had like sort of, it's called like Cat 3, Cat 2, Cat 1 now. It was sort of like that back in the day. It was School of Excellence and then academies. It wasn't like a Cat 3, Cat 2, Cat 1. So we would have like obviously a fixture list, like say the legs against Stockport, Carlisle, Oldham, who were really good teams by the way. And we used to play Liverpool, Everton, Man United, but we used to beat them all the time and sort of struggle against like the Carlisles and that, because when again, because they were most probably a little bit spoiled coming through because they had better facilities. Even like I've been into a few academies and they get the kits done for them. So it's like, what's going on here? I remember going in to Liverpool because a few of my mates worked there, and I'll never forget it. I was in the canteen, have a cup of tea with him, and this kid, he must have been 12. This woman was sitting there and he's gone up and said, "Where's my socks?" And I was like, What's he going on about? Where's the socks? And he said, "Oh, they get the kit done for them." So I was like, "Oh, I can't believe this."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because even when we come through as a YT, we had to clean boots, clean the stadium,
culture,
loads.
Yeah.
And we had to sing in front of the pros, which you don't have to do no more. Yeah. I remember when I was a YT, we used to get fruit chucked at us and You know, when you were singing, if you were rubbish, you used to get like, at the end, they had the big cream cake. So if you were good, they gave you the cake to eat. But if you were bad, like, they'd go, oh, you know what I mean? And then if you were rubbish, you'd get it splashed in your face. But yeah, going back to all my mates that I came through with at Tranmere, I'm still in contact with them now. And a lot struggled with it, to be honest, but even at that standard, because we were really good and we used to beat these teams, they were potentially, for me, a lot of my YT team could have made it as a pro. Yeah. I think about 10 of us could have made it really as a pro. But the difference with, say, me, for instance, or Aaron Creswell was in our teams at West Ham now, Craig Curran, who had a decent career, we sacrificed more compared to them. So a lot of the time, even on a Friday, because even I used to hang around the street still as a YT, but they were drinking. They used to drink on a Friday, the day before a game. And I could smell it, so I'm assuming the coaches could smell it as well. But that's just the byproduct of where they're from. I was from a similar area to most of them, but I sacrificed. They never. So I think that was the little percentages that, say, me, Kreza, Curran had over them. But a lot of them obviously struggled with that and ended up doing other stuff as well as alcohol. Do you know what I mean? So I obviously won't name him, but it hasn't came out, but he got banned at the time as a YT, and he was phenomenal, unbelievable player, one of the best left foots I've ever seen. But touching on that, then when I obviously made as a YT and a pro, I used to do drug tests all the time. You used to come in, spontaneously test you. I've done about over 50, I reckon, which is unheard of. Really, I think in your career you usually do 3-4. Yeah, I've done about 50. Honestly 40 to 50 drug tests. I think just because of the mate that I was with at the time, got banned for it. So it can be honestly it is a ruthless business, and at that time there wasn't any support for those type of people or players. Where now, which is great, it's getting addressed, and you've got care managers and they sort of help them transition into something if they're not going to make it as a player and stuff like that. So, I still keep in contact with a lot of them. Yeah.
That transition, because I say it to a lot of our boys at 15s, like, there's still a good career out of football to be playing non-league football.
Definitely.
Like, you can earn an extra 12 grand on top of whatever day job you've got on top of it. Like, you look at Vauxhall's playing in the counties Prem, like, okay, they haven't got like the biggest budget. You're not going to get paid a lot, but at least you're getting paid to play footy. Yeah. Like, and at a good standard in front of, like, we had Macclesfield here last year with like 800 fans. Freaking hell, mate! Last year in the Vars, North Shields came down with three coaches of fans, and it was bonkers the whole afternoon. They'd been bevying all the way up, all the way down. From like Newcastle, and they turned up with the right atmosphere. It was really good. I can't remember. I think we lost that game as well, probably a little bit because of the atmosphere. But it was. There's days and matches, like even Vauxhalls last year, getting to the Cheshire Senior Final and going and watching them at Macclesfield in front of like maybe 2,000 fans. Like, that's any lad who plays football still at like 15s and 16s, that you can still do it at a certain level anyway. And a lot of kids, they either think it's the top or nothing. I think that attitude could probably be doing.
I think it's when adjusted. Like when you get to 12, 13, you think, not an academy now, that's it, I'm not getting in. But you never know who's watching. And actually now, I think scouts actually go to more off the beaten track, if you want to call it that, where they're trying to find that hidden gem, because there's a lot of players that have came from there, which I think people don't realise. So it doesn't matter, you obviously getting to a certain age, say if you're like 25, 26, maybe at that point then, but if you blow 25, there's still massive opportunities to get even into full-time football. So that's what I mean. I think even, say, the lads at Vauxhalls, I know a lot of the lads, and they like going out as well, which is fine. Do you know what I mean? But that's the difference from them most probably playing where they are. to maybe going up a few
like
more
you said,
levels.
It's that sacrifice.
It's always about sacrifice. And I remember like I always hung around the streets. I wasn't in any trouble. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But I was going in at 9 where some of my mates were going in at midnight just because I wanted to be a footy player. So I still got to hang around with my mates and, you know, get up to whatever mischief you get up to as a kid. But I then took myself away from it because I knew they wasn't doing that in a way.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that until I was older. But it's like even a lot of the lads that I hung around with ended up getting into trouble as they got older, which obviously being where I'm from, there's always a couple that do that. But it's all about sacrifice for me. And you know, it doesn't matter what you want to do. If you sacrifice, dedicate yourself to it, you sort of, like you said, with football, you can make a good living from it. And you can do that in a lot of industries. So it's all about that sacrifice then and determination, obviously, to go and do it.
Yeah. No, this has been good, mate. I've really enjoyed this, and I think I've hit all my points.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, mate, and hopefully we can help some people and people take a lot away from this.
No, it's been a pleasure, mate. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dan.
No problem.
Cheers.
Get social at the Grassroots Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.